Very good morning, children. I am Deepa, your physical science teacher from Dr. Besant School. Okay, children, I hope you all are ready with your books, right? Your textbook, notebook, everything you are ready. Okay, in previous session, we learned about our new chapter we have started is matter pure, isn't it? And in that, we learned what is pure and what is a mixture according to scientific meanings. And also we learned types of mixtures, homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture, isn't it? With the examples we have seen the activity also. And also we learned what is a solution and solute, solvent, all this we learned in our previous session. Now in this session we are going to learn about properties of a solution. Okay, children? So now all open your textbooks, page number 40. So properties of a solution. Actually, what is a solution? We learned the homogeneous mixture of two or more substances from which we cannot separate its components by the process of filtration. Isn't it? It is called solution. Homogeneous mixture of two or more substances from which we cannot separate its components from a simple process like filtration is called solution. That is what we learned. Now properties of solution. Mainly there are two properties of solution. What are the two properties? First one, see in your book. In a solution, the particles are so small in size, we cannot see them with our naked eye. That is our first property. And even they do not scatter a beam of light passing through the solution, and hence the path of light is not visible in a solution. They will not scatter a beam of light. What is meant by not scatter? Not scatter means will not reflect. Okay, will not spread the light towards. If a beam of light is passing through it, they will not scatter, and also the path of the light which is entering into it also not visible. The particles will not split the light outside, and the path of the light also will not be visible in a solution. Okay, children? So the first property is the solute particle size is so small that we cannot see with our naked eyes. The particles are so small in size, which we cannot see with our naked eyes. Cannot see with our naked eyes. Not only that, this solution will not scatter the beam of light, and its path also not visible. Will not these particles do not scatter the beam of light, and path also not visible. This is the first property. Coming to second property. The solute particles do not settle down when left undisturbed. Yes or no? We have seen that. Personally, we have experienced that. As I told the example, what I told previous session in the activity we have seen sugar solution and sand. Sand is mixed in the water, isn't it? What happened to that when sand mixed in water? What happened? Some of the sand is settled at the bottom, isn't it? When it is remained undisturbed, when the sand mixed in water kept undisturbed, some of the sand has settled at the bottom, isn't it? Whereas sugar, what happened? After stirring, and even it is left like that for how many hours undisturbed? Salt. We have taken salt. When it is left like that undisturbed, what happened? That salt does not settle at the bottom, isn't it? That is another property of a solution. If the solute particles settle at the bottom, it is not a solution. Okay, because that is not the property of a solution. Property of a solution is the solute particles will not settle at the bottom even it is left undisturbed. That is the second property. The solute particles do not settle down when left undisturbed. These are the two main properties of a solution. Okay, children, note down. Particles are so small in size. Which particles? Solution particles. Means the solute particles present in the solution. Particles are so small in size which we cannot see with our naked eyes. And also that particles do not scatter the beam of light. And the path of the light also not visible. And next, the solute particles do not settle down when left undisturbed. Am I clear, children? These are the properties of a solution. Right. Next, we are going to learn about concentration of solution. Our next topic is concentration of a solution. What is this concentration of a solution? So the amount of solute present in a saturated solution at a certain temperature is called its solubility at that temperature. So before learning about concentration, first let us learn about solubility. What is meant by solubility? The amount of solute present in the saturated solution. What is meant by saturated solution? I will explain you in the next coming activity. Okay, first let us learn this definition. The amount of solute present in a saturated solution. The amount of solute present in a saturated solution at a certain temperature. At a certain temperature is called its solubility at that temperature. What is meant by solubility? Amount of solute present. How much amount of solute is present in a saturated solution at a certain temperature is called its solubility at that temperature. Okay, now what is meant by this saturated solution? There are two types, saturated solution and unsaturated solution. What is meant by this saturated solution? Let us see now. Suppose, let me take some amount of water, some 50 ml of water. See, I am taking some 50 ml of water. Okay, children? And now we will add I am adding some sugar. First, 1 spoon of sugar. I am adding 1 spoon of sugar in this 50 ml of water. See. Okay. And now what we will do? For the sugar to get dissolved quickly, what you should do? You should stir the sugar. So I am stirring it. So we will stir it. Continue stirring until all the sugar particles get dissolved in water. So by stirring like this constantly, what will happen? The sugar particles will get dissolved in water. Will it completely dissolve or not? Or once it dissolved, once it gets dissolved and if you stop if you left it undisturbed, will the sugar particles again settle at the bottom? No, they will not settle at the bottom. They will get completely dissolved in water, isn't it? They will get completely dissolved in water. So now see, children, can you see? Okay, the sugar got completely dissolved in water. Okay, now when the sugar got completely dissolved in water, means it got soluble, isn't it? So when we have added small amount of solute in it, then it is called dilute. It is called dilute solution. When we add only a little amount of solute in it, then it is called dilute. When we call dilute, when only a little amount of solute. Little amount of solute is present, then we call it as dilute solution. Okay, not only dilute, even we call it as unsaturated solution. Means when it is below the solubility range. Okay, when the solute we have taken is below the solubility range, then we can also call it as unsaturated. What is it called? It is called unsaturated solution. When the amount of sugar is below the solubility range, then it is unsaturated solution. Now what I am doing, again I am taking 1 more spoon of sugar. See, another spoon of sugar I am taking and we are keeping in the water. Okay, and let me stir again for it to get dissolved. See. I am stirring it again. Let us see whether it will get dissolved in this water or not. The solute is in less amount. Then it is dilute and also we call it as unsaturated solution. Okay, which is below the solubility range. Now it takes some more time for the sugar to get dissolved. See, stir it well until it gets dissolved completely. All the particles should get dissolved in it. Until that time we are stirring. But now it is taking more time than before or not? Why it is taking more time? Because it is reaching to the solubility range. Okay. Now the sugar got dissolved. You can see. All the sugar particles got dissolved in it. Okay. Now still another 1 more spoon I am adding. Like this we should add up to. We should add now another spoon of sugar I am taking and adding in this. Like that, how many spoons we should add? Until no more sugar will get dissolved in the water. The solvent does not have any more, capacity to get dissolved in it. That amount of water has only a certain range of capability to get dissolved for making the solute to get dissolved in it. Okay, that is called solubility. So beyond the solubility, if we add the sugar, what will happen? It will not get dissolved in it. No more it can dissolve. See. We are stirring it continuously. But still some more sugar is getting settled at the bottom. It is taking still more time to get dissolved. See. But see, sugar particles are getting dissolved. So 3 spoons I added up to now. So all the 3 spoons got soluble, isn't it? That is the solubility of this amount of water, this 50 ml of water. See, it got dissolved. Now another spoon we will add. Let us add another spoon for it. We will see will it get dissolved or not. See, another spoon I am adding here. Okay. Now let us see will it get dissolved or not. See here. When it become excess beyond the solubility range, what will happen? No more solute will get dissolved in it. See, now it is not getting dissolved. You observe the sugar. Can you see? Here at the bottom you see the sugar is getting settled at the bottom. Sugar particles are settling at the bottom without getting dissolved. Why? It became excess, more than the solubility range. See, no more it is getting dissolved. How much you stir, when it become beyond the solubility, it will not get dissolved anymore. Okay, that solution is called saturated solution. Such a solution is called saturated. Saturated solution means what is happening beyond the solubility. When it reaches beyond the solubility, then some of the solute particles will remain at the bottom without getting dissolved in the solvent, in the solution. Understood, children? Then it is called saturated solution. When you added only 1 spoon or 2 spoons below the solubility range, then it is unsaturated solution. And when the solute becomes beyond the solubility range, then it is called saturated solution. Understood, children? Now, if we now take this sugar solution with this, what is that, remained undissolved, isn't it? Some of the sugar remained undissolved. Now if we place this on a, if we increase the temperature, now it is at room temperature. For this solution you take in a beaker and start heating. No need to boil it, just heat it. Okay, so, okay, some 5 degrees Celsius, like that you increase the temperature from the room temperature, then you can observe automatically this which are remained undissolved, that solute particles will get dissolved in the solution. Why they are getting dissolved? Because of increase in the temperature. Understood, children? This is what saturated solution, unsaturated solution. Am I clear? Understood? Right. Now, what are the factors affecting the rate of dissolving? Let us see. Mainly there are 3 factors that affect the rate of dissolving. What are the 3 factors? Factors affecting the rate of dissolving. There are 3 factors which affect the rate of dissolving. What are the 3 factors? As we discussed now. First, suppose you pour 1 spoon of sugar in it. Okay, take only 1 spoon of sugar and don't stir it. Leave it like that. Will it get dissolved quickly or it takes more time to get dissolved in water? Definitely it takes more time, isn't it? The same 1 spoon sugar, you by taking the spoon, you stir it then what will happen? It will get dissolved quickly compared to leaving it without stirring, isn't it? And as I told, now if you increase its temperature, what will happen if you increase its temperature? It will get dissolved more quickly, isn't it? And suppose in place of sugar, if we take salt and do the repeat this activity same, salt, then see, if you pour salt, 1 spoon of salt, will it get dissolved quickly? Or in the same water, 1 spoon of sugar, it will get dissolved quickly. Which will get dissolved quickly? Yes, salt will get dissolved quickly, then sugar. Why? Because salt particles are small in size, sugar particles are big in size, isn't it? That means the first factor which will affect the rate of dissolving is size. Whose size? Size of solute particles. Size of solute particles. Okay, children? And next one is, as we discussed now, to get quickly, what we should do? The entire solute particles should spread uniformly throughout the water. For spreading uniformly, what we should do? We should stir. So that also the factor, another factor, that is stirring. Another factor is stirring the solute to get it dissolved quickly. And next one, what I told, temperature. Another factor is temperature. So these are the main three factors which affect the rate of dissolving. One is size of solute particles, another one is stirring, and another one is temperature. Am I clear, children? So this is what? Solubility, saturated solution, unsaturated solution. Saturated solution means the solute in the solution. How much we have taken is still more. If you add the solute, no more it will get dissolved in it beyond the solubility range. Then it will become a saturated solution, and that excess solute can get dissolved when we change the temperature. Am I clear, children? So these are the three factors which affects the rate of dissolving. If the solute size of solute particles are small, they will get dissolved quickly. Are big, they takes more time. If it does not stir, it takes more time, and if we stir, within less time only it will get dissolved in it. And the temperature, some of the substances by raising the temperature will get dissolved quickly. Some of the substances by raising the temperature, their rate of dissolving will decrease. That depends upon the substance. Am I clear, children? These are the three factors. Okay, and next, what is dilute, what is concentration? What is meant by dilute, what is meant by concentration? If the solute present in the solvent, the solute present in the solution is less amount, very less amount, then that solution is called dilute solution. When we say dilute solution, when solute is in less amount, only small amount of solute is taken in the solution, then we say such solution as dilute solution. Whereas concentrated, already you listened this words, children, if you remember, acids, dilute acids, concentrated acids we say, isn't it? So when we say the solution is concentrated, if the solute present in that solution is in more amount of solute is present in the solution, then we say such solution as concentrated solution. Am I clear, children? Yes. Now we are going to learn how to find the concentration of a solution. So to express this concentration, there are two formulae. To express the concentration, what are the two formulae is? One is mass by mass percentage. Mass by mass percentage of a solute. Mass by mass percentage of a solute equal to formula. Listen carefully. Mass of a solute by mass of a solvent into 100. This is the formula to find mass by mass percentage of a solute. What is the meaning of this? The amount of solute present in some 100 grams of solution. Amount of, sorry children, sorry, it is not solvent, solution. Sorry children, please note this. Amount of solute by amount of solution. Amount of solute by amount of, mass of solute by mass of solution into 100 means how much amount of solute is present in a fixed amount of solution. That is called concentration actually. Amount of solute present in some fixed amount of solution is called concentration. So mass of solute means how much grams of solute is present in some 100 grams or 200 grams, some amount of solution. Okay, so mass of solute by mass of solution, as is asking to percentage, so we will do into 100. Am I clear children? This is one formula, and another one is mass by volume. Mass by volume percentage of solute equal to mass by volume percentage of a solution. Sorry. Mass by volume percentage of a solution equal to mass of solute by, here what he told, mass by volume percentage means how much, if the solution is considered in volume, 100 ml of solution consists of how many grams of solute in it. Okay, then we will use this formula. Mass of solute by volume of solution. Volume of solution into 100. These are the two very important formulae which we are using for doing many problems. Please note down, mass by mass percentage of a solute equal to mass of a solute by mass of solution into 100. Whereas mass by volume percentage of a solution equal to mass of solute by volume of solution into 100. So we will do the sample problems on this. Please note down children. Okay, completed, right? Now, see in your textbook example problem is given children. Page number 42, example 1. Solution contains 50 grams of common salt in 200 grams of water. Calculate the concentration in terms of mass by mass percentage of the solution. Solution contains 50 grams of common salt in 200 grams of water. Here common salt is a solute and water is a solvent. He gave mass of solute and mass of solvent. And what is asking to find? Concentration in terms of mass by mass percentage. So what formula we will use? First let us write what the given values. Example 1. What is given? Mass of solute. What is that solute there? Sugar. Sugar is the solute. How much it is given? Mass of solute is given 50 grams. Now mass of solvent. What is that solvent given there? Water. Mass of solvent, water. How much given? 200 grams. Isn't it? It is given 200 grams. Now what is asking us to find? Mass by mass percentage of solution equal to. What is the formula? Mass of solute by mass of solution into 100. This is the formula, right? Now mass of solute given how much? 50 by, now he asked mass of solution, but here mass of solvent is there. How you will find mass of solution? How we will get? Yes, mass of solution equal to mass of solute plus mass of solvent. By adding these two masses, we will get mass of solution. Yes or no? See children, here you should be very careful. Here now he told mass of water. Sometimes he will give directly mass of solution in the question itself. Then you will write here that mass of solution given. But here he has given mass of solute and solvent. Solution is not given. In such case, what you should do? You should add both the masses. 50 by 50 plus 200 into 100. That equal to 50 by 50 plus 200 is 250 into 100. 0, 0, 5 1 ja, 5 5 ja, 5 1 ja, 5 20 ja. So finally what answer we got? 20% is the answer. I hope you all understood children, right? See, here you should be careful. Mass of solution. Sometimes in the question directly he will give mass of solution. Sometimes he will give mass of solvent. If solvent is given, you should add both to get mass of solution. If mass of solution is given directly, you can directly write here without adding. Okay children, please note down the problem. Okay children, I hope you all understood this. Now here example 2 is given, which you will try that one. Okay, see the question. 80 ml of solution contains 20 grams of solute. 80 ml of solution, ml means volume, and 20 grams of solute, that is mass of solute. Calculate the concentration in terms of mass by volume percentage. Directly asking mass by volume percentage. Means which formula you will use? Mass of solute by volume of solution into 100. Isn't it? So mass of solute given 20 grams. Volume of solution. Here he told 80 ml of solution. Directly solution volume is given. You need not add here. Directly you keep 80. So 20 by 80 into 100 you will get the answer. Will you do this problem? So you'll do this and send to my WhatsApp number. Okay children, I hope you understood this session. Thank you.